Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs IndyCar. I'm one of your hosts, Thiemo Albers-Daly. Nate and I are back for part 2 of our IndyCar post-season news series, and this time we'll be diving into some of the behind-the-scenes moves that have been happening, post-season tests, and the IndyCar 2026 calendar. We hope you enjoy.
To kind of get into some of the broader team moves that we've had, personnel moves, we've had a new appointment over at Andretti Global.
Yeah, and I love how you deferred to me for that one, because I'm going to defer right back to you in a second. Ron Brzezinski has been appointed as the team principal of Andretti Global, and I said to you at the top of this episode before we hit record that there's bits of news here that I thought I could go and dive down the rabbit hole myself, or I could let Nate teach me some history. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to let Nate teach me some history. So,
Well, that's why I
who is
deferred to
this man
you
and why is he
because
important?
I did not know who he was. The name did not ring a bell to me. And so
For shame, Professor Nate, for shame.
he uh, he has definitely been in motorsports for a long time. This is his 22nd season in motorsports, and so he's coming from um, looks like Team Penske. Looks like
Yeah, I feel like that was the one that I did see about him, but I was mulling over again where the name was familiar from, but I couldn't then tell you any more about it. But again, my head, unfortunately.
yeah, he's had 10 years at Team Penske, Goodyear, and Walker Racing. So it says I think. There can't be too many pieces of the puzzle left with Andretti,
No, I
and
wouldn't
uh,
imagine so.
and
And
I
you've
think
got to
this,
think he's probably a long-term commitment as well,
yeah, yeah,
considering the other moves that they've been making. I don't think
yeah,
that they're going to take a chance on someone and say, okay, we'll see how you do next year, and if not, we'll do it again. It
right.
seems, like you say, 20 plus years of experience in IndyCar and motorsport in general. Yeah, that's probably enough to warrant yeah, we'll stand by you and
Yeah,
hope that you don't cock up.
yeah. Well, and this very well could be somebody that's worked with Will Power,
Mm,
and
that's true.
they're bringing in somebody that is you know you know you've got a driver that's coming over that's worked with your chief rival team for so many seasons. I mean, how long was Will Power at Penske? I mean,
Well,
15 years,
exactly. Yes,
20,
minimum.
yeah, at least 15 years. And you're bringing him into another powerhouse organization, and he's been so set in his ways. It could take him time to adapt to the new operations at Andretti,
Mm.
and to have somebody that he's worked with previously coming in, that could very well be the case here. That to make a smoother transition for what could be construed as their top driver at this point. So
The other bit of news that we've got on the team front is that Brian Barnhart and Carl Sagan have left Aaron McLaren for RHLL Lanigan, which is interesting.
yes,
Barnhart's the new senior VP of operations, and Graham Rahall's the race strategist, whereas Sagan will be the team's pit stop manager. So maybe, like we were referring to before, this is part of their puzzle, and they don't know what the
yeah,
picture is, sure, but they've got more pieces, more interesting pieces than we maybe thought,
exactly,
because we
yeah.
didn't think that this would be news we were going to talk about.
Yeah, and these are both names that I was familiar with. I've been familiar
Ah,
with,
and as
with
soon as I take over, of course, he then is back to his old ways.
yeah, I've known Brian for a long time through motorsports and for gosh, over 15 years. And his time in working with IndyCar, the IndyCar series itself, and the various teams that he's worked with. And so to go back to what we talked about before with this team, they're putting all these powerhouse moves together to create this top tier team that has not proven themselves of being a top tier team. And it's like, I don't know what the end game is here. So, um, uh, you know, interesting that
It's
they're bringing him
I don't
in
know if
not
you've
only as
seen, but
the,
it feels a bit like that cat meme of where wearing the dungarees standing in the snow. I don't know if you've seen this
yes,
one, but
yeah,
it's looking there, it's going, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no idea, but I'm with you, Captain Dungarees.
That's right. And not only is he the operations VP, but he's also the race strategist for a driver that is probably, nearing retirement. It's kind of a strange combo for me.
Yeah, I feel like there is something to get from that. I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't dedicated enough time to sit down in the dark room and really think about it because that seems something where it's been done deliberately. You don't just go, oh, by the way, do you want to be race strategist while
Yeah.
you're at it?
Yeah.
It feels like, no, no, this is coming in as part of the pitch is to do all of
Yeah.
this. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but like I say, I'm going to do my best cat wearing dungarees impression and stroke my chin and go, all right, let's see what you're up to.
Yeah, I'll just put the announcement out there. It's like, with Kyle Sagan being the pit stop manager. If there's any team out there that's looking for a pit stop manager, my services are available. Uh, you know, I
And
I,
he's
I
very
will.
local.
I'm local and I work for cheap. So, so,
Uh,
but getting into the calendar for next year, obviously
yeah.
there's some big shakeups I would say that we've kind of touched on in the past, but this calendar is much different than what it has been in the past.
Quite looking forward to it, to be honest. It's, I think, with one exception, which you and I probably share, I'm quite excited for all of it, but I'll run through it quickly just for the sake of why not. Obviously, start at St. Pete as per usual, but then two brand new venues straight out of the box: Phoenix Raceway and the streets of Arlington. We go to Barber, we go to Long Beach, Indy Road Course, and then obviously the Indy 500. Back over to Detroit, go back to Gateway. Then we get to Road America, then Mid Ohio. Nashville is then there. It's not the season finale anymore. We go to Portland. We go to Streets of Markham, which we'll talk about, and
Yeah.
then Milwaukee's doubleheader, which has got Nate frothing at the mouth already in eager
Yes.
anticipation, and
Yeah.
Laguna Seca is back at
Yeah.
the end of the season, which I'm quite happy about because that was where it was when I first started watching IndyCar. It felt natural to
Mm.
me. Um, Phoenix is the one I'm looking forward to the most because it's new. Um, out of the new venues
Mm.
there, I think I've seen it in NASCAR
Mm.
before, so I've got a bit of an idea of what's going on there. But I do quite like the addition of Markham purely because IndyCar seems to like trolling you with at least one venue per year. And they thought, well, we've got rid of Thermal Club, so we're going to put something else in here. And regardless of what that finally looks like, I'm never going to be able to get that image out of my head that you sent me of the Google Maps when you were trying to find the
Yeah.
location yourself when it was originally
Yeah.
announced.
Yeah. Phoenix coming back to the schedule is so much fun. And I hope that it stays on the calendar. IndyCar's kind of had this, feels like love-hate relationship with this track. We raced there in the early 2000s, and then it was off the calendar for 10 years. And then we raced there for a few more years, and then it was off the calendar again. And so I hope that it's a long-term race. I think that, with on the NASCAR side, who,
I was going to say, I
this
wonder
is
how much that is to do with the NASCAR
right. This
relationship that
is
that track
this
has
is
as well.
where NASCAR season finale is long term, and
Hmm.
um, I think the just based off of the races that we've had in NASCAR the last couple seasons at that track, uh, I am really looking forward to this Phoenix race. Uh, I think it's a track that it has it's like Pocono, but it's not like Pocono, where
Which I
Pocono
think for you
has
is a good thing.
is a very good thing.
It's
It's
just
a
enough
track.
like it without being the same place.
It's a track that um, has three distinct corners and uh, but races like a traditional oval, I would say,
Hmm.
without the hazards that Pocono has always posed. So I'm really looking forward to that race, and having it so early in the season. There's
Because
we
normally we
still
have to
have
wait a while before we get to that kind of a track, you know.
Yeah,
So for it to be round two, go kind of it throws everything up in the air immediately,
right.
and that's good
Yeah,
fun. We don't have to
yeah.
wait for it.
The last time we were at Phoenix was in 2018, and Joseph Newgarden was the winner of that race.
Hmm.
We also have Scott Dixon, who won in 2016. So,
I'm just looking at the first few rounds. Actually, I'm just thinking we don't get to a proper racetrack until round four with Barber. And then we go straight back to a road course, and then by definition, another road course with the Indy road course. Although I'd say that's more of a traditional circuit
yeah.
myself. But then you've got very few actual, in my mind, traditional racing circuits on the calendar. It's a lot of street courses, it's a lot of ovals, and it's very interesting that that's more noticeable this coming season than it has been since I definitely first came in, at least.
Well, the trouble that we've always had with the IndyCar season was that it was so backloaded with races. We went to St. Pete as the season opener, and then we went, and the next race was Long Beach or Barber, but it always took a month to get there. We had a month break
Hmm.
after the first race of the season. And last season, when they brought Thermal Club in and said, "Oh, we're going to do a 10-year deal with Thermal Club," after we saw, in 2024 with the All-Star
Their
race or whatever
favorite
you want to
racing
call
history,
it.
yes.
Yeah. And um, that kind of filled that void between the first and the third, the first and second race of the season. And so it felt good to have another race in there. But now we've got, we go to St. Pete on March 1st, and then immediately to Phoenix, and then immediately to Arlington, and then we got a 2-week break, and then we go to Barber. There are 4 races in March,
Hmm. Unheard
which
of.
I don't remember ever happening. And so it is going to be an exciting start to the season, which I think probably going back to the Fox being part owner in the series now, they need it to be exciting. They need that constant boom, 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 boom right at the front of the season
You
to
can afford to have
capture
a break
people.
after that third or fourth round
Right,
because then by that point you've already got a lot to talk about. And we talk a
right.
lot about positive and negative momentum that drivers and teams carry
Yeah,
into race weekends. That's going to be a lot harder to reset or continue going if it's positive.
yeah,
When it's just consistently happening, there isn't a
yeah,
massive gap between them, I think. So, hmm. It's also interesting for me that the Indy Next calendar, because obviously they're going to all of the same places that IndyCar's going, with some exceptions. Principally, they go to St. Petersburg, but then we don't see them till Streets of Arlington, so they have a little bit more of a break. But the interesting thing for me there is that the Barber Round's a doubleheader, Indy Road Course is a doubleheader, Road America is a doubleheader, Mid Ohio is a doubleheader, and then Laguna Seca is also a doubleheader. So five
yeah.
doubleheaders in what is a shorter season in comparison to the IndyCar schedule itself,
Mm.
but they're still packing in a lot of stuff, and that's going to be quite interesting to see on the kind of inverse side of that. So to see what I was saying with the momentum that these drivers can carry in, week out, especially when you have such a consistent. I mean, you look at Barber and Indy; they're back to back and double headers. That
Yeah.
if you mess that up, you are really on the back foot there, and it could really spice up the championship in terms of either giving someone a really big lead or bringing 10 other drivers into play. There
Yeah.
isn't going to be a middle ground there, I don't think.
Yeah. I am a little surprised that they're not racing at Long Beach, but I think that might just, I don't know if that's a logistical issue for them or just being a street course. We can only have these streets closed for so long and we can't, you know, squeeze anything else into the schedule. But
Hmm.
that's a pretty big gap in their season as well.
Yeah, which you see in F2 and F3 sometimes over in Europe or in F2's case a bit more globally. F3's got on a bit more global recently, but with F2 you'll have a year or two ago you'd have a race in September and they wouldn't race again until November, and now we've got a bit of a we've peppered in a round or
Yeah.
two now to do that, and Indy Next have gone I wouldn't be so sure about getting rid of that format. I quite like that. Let's just pack it all in bits and then have these
Yeah,
big spaces in there as well.
yeah, they're going to have that double header, so they're going to race in the morning on the 29th of March, and then their next race won't be until May 8th.
Hmm.
So,
Go and have a nice ice bath. You can spend plenty of time in there.
yeah, yeah. So I think, all in all, I'm happy with the schedule. I like the fact that they front loaded the schedule. That's going to build storylines early on, whereas previously, you go to St. Pete and then you have,
We
five
said so
weeks
many
off
times at
until
the
you go
start of the
to,
season, we're not sure where this is all going yet
yeah,
because we've only had a round or two, whereas at that point we'll
right.
have had maybe six.
Yeah. So, the streets of Arlington in the front part of the season, it's going to be kind of an unknown. I think,
Hmm.
it's my hope that street course produces good racing, because if it doesn't, that's going to be a real big problem for the front part of the season.
It's going to
Uh,
go the same way as Thermal Club in terms of we had a deal. We
exactly.
don't care about your deals.
Yeah, we're here to break that deal.
We're renegotiating.
Yeah. So, and then of course, the streets of Markham also an unknown, and
There's my bold prediction, just to annoy you
luckily,
if nothing else. Streets of Arkham going to be a better race than Streets of Arlington.
I I just hope that it's a decent product. I really do, and there's still big parts of that course, that proposed course, that are essentially back alleyways into the Greyhound bus station at this point. And so,
Hey, at least it's
uh,
easy for the fans to get there. That's the main thing.
all right. So, and of course, the Milwaukee doubleheader, as you mentioned, I'm certainly looking forward to that. So, like I said, I'm pleased with this schedule. We do get some parts in the schedule that feel a little light to me. I mean, we got one, we have four races in March, and then we have one race in April. Um, and again, the season ends so early. Our last race is the first weekend in September. So,
I don't personally mind that though, because I prefer that in some instances than it being dragged out for 10, 11 months of the year. That's one of my bugbears with F1 at the moment. I wanted to start in March and end in October, early November, and
yeah,
at the moment we've got it in December, and I'm just
in
going, it's
December.
too much, man.
Yeah,
Just calm your jets a little bit, or at least just pack it in a bit more. I'd rather have it short and intense, like IndyCar is doing,
yeah,
and then there's plenty of time to just genuinely miss it. So if it's been a terrible season, great. By the time I get back around to it again, I'm ready to go again. And if it's been good, I'm aching for it by the time that March comes around again. Whereas
yeah,
in F1, sometimes you think I could do with another month or two off before we
yeah,
get back to this.
yeah.
That's it for part two. Come back soon for the third and final part of the On the Curbs IndyCar post-season news series.